Powerful Democratic senator from New Jersey, Robert Menendez, goes on trial today for allegedly accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes. He faces 16 criminal counts, including bribery, obstruction of justice, and acting as a foreign agent for Egypt and Qatar. Menendez says he's being targeted because he is a prominent Latino. Here with us now is Zdan, who not only ran for office against the senator, but was a one-time New Jersey journalist who's one of the very few to have interviewed him. Thank you so much for joining us.
For having me, Brie.
So perhaps we should start by reminding folks what we expect to see at this trial today, why he is on trial, and what we hope to see or expect to see during these first few days.
Sure. These initial days are going to be devoted to jury selection. They need to select an impartial jury of Senator Menendez's peers, not fellow senators, but average citizens from New York who are going to be going to the courthouse in Lower Manhattan to be evaluated by the defense and prosecution teams. That will take a few days, but the reason we're here is because the senator and allegedly his wife and several businessmen ran what was essentially a front for getting money and influence from Egypt and Qatar. According to the indictment and the several indictments that have been superseding that the senator has been hit with over the past few months, he was an agent of a foreign government while serving in the United States Senate. That is unprecedented. These kinds of charges have never been filed against a sitting U.S. senator before. The allegations are that Senator Menendez sold his influence, sold essentially his Senate seat, which is the property of the people of New Jersey, the last time I checked, for things like those gold bars, hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, and a Mercedes for his wife, Nadine. Nadine Menendez will be tried in a separate trial, but the senator's trial starts today, and over the next few weeks, we'll see if prosecutors in New York can make the case stick in a way that federal prosecutors in New Jersey were unable to in 2017 when the senator was tried in a separate case.
And like anyone else facing these kinds of charges, he is, of course, entitled to a presumption of innocence, to due process, and all of that. However, he's also, holding on in terms of remaining in his Senate seat, despite some calls, at least, from people to resign coming from his own party. I know that Senator John Fetterman, Democrat of Pennsylvania, has been extremely vocal on the need for Menendez to resign. Some others have spoken up as well. But he, as far as I can tell, and correct me if I'm wrong, has remained defiant that he will stay in that position and that he says he will be proven to be innocent and that he will remain a senator.
Being defiant is a close cousin of being Bob Menendez. That is the way that Bob Menendez has been for his entire career. Let's not forget this was an individual who allegedly began his political career, as per Hudson County, New Jersey legend, wearing a bulletproof vest to court to testify against his mentor, Union City Mayor Bill Musto, in the 1980s. When I interviewed Bob Menendez for one of the final times last February, just about a year and some months ago, the senator said he was going to fight till the end. That is the Bob Menendez way. Unfortunately for the people of New Jersey, who've had a career criminal in that seat for some time, and we're going to have to deal with him for at least a little while longer. He's also left open the possibility that he could run as an independent in this year's Senate race and completely upend the race for his seat, which is ongoing.
What kind of reaction have we seen from Democrats? Obviously, they've been making a lot of corruption cases when it comes to Donald Trump. They've been accused, I believe, of some hypocrisy in this matter. Who has called for him to step down? What has been the response from the Democratic Party?
Essentially, the entire Democratic establishment in New Jersey has called for him to step down. In my view, it's nothing more than crass political opportunism based on the timing of when the indictment came down. If this indictment had come down a few months later, there wouldn't have been enough time for people like Congressman Andy Kim or First Lady Tammy Murphy to mount a Senate campaign. However, the timing was the timing. These charges came down in September, and they did mount a campaign. The First Lady has since dropped out. Congressman Kim appears to be the Democratic frontrunner to take on the Republican nominee. Our Republican nominee will be decided in a primary June 4th. But I think that Democrats saw an opportunity. Clearly, these charges were like nothing we've ever seen before from Senator Menendez. You could argue from anyone in the last 50 years in American politics. Democrats in New Jersey saw an opportunity to get rid of Menendez and have certain individuals move up the food chain. They're obviously taking it for the full. I don't believe that that's a moral stand. I believe it's purely an opportunistic stand.
Also, a member of the House on the Democratic side, Henry Cuellar, recently arrested, facing similar scandal of bribery, of foreign influence, of serving a foreign government. This is happening to another Democrat. It's affecting campaign season. Obviously, Republicans are going to be running on the fact that there are a few prominent members on the Democratic side who remain in Congress, despite Republicans having been forced to, expel one of their own from their midst, George Santos, famously when all of those fraud allegations came to light. Does this end up being a headache for Democrats seeking re-election in the fall?
Let's certainly hope so. I think that the Republican Party, my party, should be making an issue out of this. They should be making an issue out of corruption. We have two Democrats who allegedly acted as agents for foreign powers. This is a serious problem that Congress needs to get to the bottom of. Foreign influence in our elected representatives, our legislative branch of government, is unacceptable. It can't stand. Democrats fiercely went after President Trump for allegations that his campaign colluded with Russia. There was no link proven in that particular instance. However, Democrats appear to have a problem of their own with foreign influence in their ranks, in members of Congress, from Cuellar to Menendez and heaven knows who else. I think we need to get to the bottom of this, and I hope that Senator Menendez's trial will be a vehicle to get to the bottom of this issue, because I'm sure that a lot of the evidence that we've seen so far is just the tip of the iceberg compared to what we're going to see in a trial that lasts several weeks.
I want to get your response to what has been reported as his expected defense here. This is from CNN. They say that he might attribute the 13 gold bars and $480,000 in cash investigators found in his home. It might be explained by intergenerational family trauma, as well as a psychological disorder stemming in part from his father's suicide. He told reporters last year that he withdrew thousands of dollars in cash over the course of 30 years, citing, quote, the history of my family facing confiscation in Cuba. How do you respond to that?
Can you respond to something like that? I mean, a drowning man will grasp at anything that he has in his path. I think that it's clearly a sign of desperation from Bob Menendez. I was at that press conference where he mentioned about the intergenerational trauma, withdrawing certain amounts of money. He's not a guy operating a convenience store in Union City. He's a United States senator. He has a position of power that is unrivaled almost of anyone else in the country. To say that he was fearful of some sort of calamity coming and taking away all of his hard-earned money is ridiculous. It's a slap in the face to people who work hard every day. It's a dishonor to the brave Cubans who came to America and made their lives here and worked hard and raised families and did good things and were good citizens, unlike Bob Menendez. It's pretty clear that, at least publicly, he's going to be playing the race card. That's what he's been doing in those statements. We will see, though, if in a court of law that carries any weight. He's going to have much more than that if he wants to persuade a jury to acquit him.
The persecution of politicians in this country, it's just so sad, and we're all so sympathetic, of course. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Robbie.